This is a Jiku Power1D tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll create custom models for power analysis. After launching Jiku Power1D, you will see the Quick Start menu. Click on a design's power button to initialize the design. Let's choose the 2-sample design. To create a custom model, first open the Model Element library by selecting Show Library. In the library window, you will see two tabs, Geometry and Noise. Geometry elements are used to create the population mean. Noise elements are used to create variance. To see a short description of each element, hover the mouse over top of it. For example, this element is constant, and this element is linear. Let's select the constant element and drag it into one of the model's figures. The element is added to the model. The element's parameters are listed over here on the right. For the constant element, there is just one parameter, amp. We can change this value by moving the slider or by entering text. Note that the slider elements have minimum and maximum values. In this case, -5 and +5. To change that, we can right-click on the slider and select Set Limits. This dialog will appear. Let's change the limits to -500 and +500. When we move the slider, these new limits will be reflected. Let's reset this amp value back to its default value of 0. We can add more geometry elements if we want by dragging in a new element, like linear. If there are multiple geometry elements, Jiku Power1D will add them together. But more about that in just a minute. First, let's delete this extra geometry element by selecting the X beside it in the list. Next, let's add a noise element. In this case, I'll select the smooth Gaussian. After adding this element, the data sample figure is no longer empty. This is because the group A model is now complete. It has both geometry and noise. When the model becomes complete, Jiku Power1D will automatically display it in the data sample window. In the data sample window, there are 3 types of curves shown. The population mean is a thick line. The sample mean is shown as small dots. And individual observations are shown as thin lines. The population mean is the same as the geometry from the group model. The sample mean is generally different from the population mean because noise makes the sample mean an imperfect estimator of the population mean. We can press the refresh button to see a new data sample. Pressing it multiple times will show natural fluctuations in the sample mean. Let's next add another geometry element to this model. After adding the linear element, note that the population mean changes, and so does the sample mean. Pressing refresh shows this more clearly. To make changes even more obvious, we can increase the slope of this linear element by increasing the value of the x1 parameter. Now the changes in the data sample are even more obvious. Let's also add another noise element, in this case a Gaussian, or uncorrelated Gaussian noise. Let's reduce its sigma, or standard deviation value, to 0.2. Just like multiple geometry elements, Jiku Power1D adds these multiple noise elements together. You can see the smooth noise and the high frequency noise reflected in the individual curves in the data sample figure. Let's resimplify the model by removing the Gaussian noise and also removing the linear element. Next, let's build a custom model for B. Let's use Gaussian pulse geometry and smooth Gaussian noise. Now that the group B model has geometry and noise, it is plotted in the data sample window. Note that both models are complete, so now power analysis can be conducted by selecting Analysis and Run. For more details about analysis options and results, please refer to our other tutorials.